May I make that motion?
Yes, we've got speakers for this item. And the first one is Stephen Poole.
Have the motion.
We have to have a motion and a second
Yeah,
before we can have any discussion.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I do. I have a motion. I'd like to preface my motion by saying that board policy requires us to allow management to make the decisions relating to the testing and the curriculum of the students. Accordingly, my motion is that the board recommends that management reevaluate the current system of short cycle assessments. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Sutherland.
There's no second.
Is there a second?
No.
Have-
Let's have a courtesy second so we can discuss this.
No, not if there's not a second.
Really listen to the teacher's voice.
No, but I want to recommend something.
I really-
Make an alternative motion, then
I would like
after this,
to make an alternative motion.
after this one dies.
Okay,
I'll take the second so we can discuss. Thank you.
okay. It's been moved by Dr. Sutherland, seconded by Ms. Jackson. Mr. Poole.
Thank you for the opportunity. All day long, I've been calling upon my better angels within me, but they have eluded me. Giving you a handout, I told you teachers are going to be placed on a paperwork treadmill. Look at the 3-part assessment analysis teachers at this elementary school are having to complete. Now, I will hand it to Dr. Sorum. He asked for me to point these out to him. He's quick to correct them. But why should he have to ride herd on administration to make them do right on their jobs? I've called upon my better angels, and they have eluded me today. I sent you all an email. We asked the teachers their opinion on SCAs, and 84% of them said you should not continue them. A letter was sent out to principals thanking them for their input. I didn't see any thanks to the teachers for their input when the decision was made to make flexibility of the SCAs at the schools. But where is it to instruct the principals to work hand in hand with their teachers? I've called upon my better angels today, and they have eluded me. This speaks to a bigger problem. Our teachers are not respected as experts in their field on issues important to the classrooms. The teachers are not respected as experts on issues important to their classrooms. Read the letter to the principals. You'll never see the word teacher or classroom mentioned in it. You know, I'm challenged, and it's something that weighs heavily on my mind day in and day out in the work that I do. How do we improve instruction? How do we make sure that things that need to be done in the classroom is done, and we have a high-quality teacher in front of every one of our students? I'll tell you, the teacher and the parent today told you. If you ask the teachers, they will tell you. They want exactly what you want and what these parents want, and that's a high-quality teacher in front of our kiddos every single day. And I'm ready to have that tough conversation, what we need to do to move instruction and have a high-quality teacher in front of the classroom every day. But I also issued this challenge today when someone asked me. Let's be ready to talk about leadership, too. Teachers want not only high-quality teachers in the classroom, they want high-quality leaders in their schools and in their district. So if we're going to start looking from top to bottom and side to side, let's have that tough conversation and make sure the highest quality leaders and highest quality teachers are in our classroom. Because right now, that conversation is not willing to be had. So I'm sorry. I had something totally different planned on speaking to you all tonight. But I want to go farther. The teachers are telling you not to do the SCAs. Don't do the SCAs at all. Thank you.
Adam Boyette.
Oh,
Good evening. My name is Adam Boyette. I have a third grader and a first grader at Bruce Shilke Elementary School. I'm a member of the world-famous Sugar Daddies, but this Sugar Daddy is fed up with the short cycle assessments. These tests are administered to my children every 3 weeks, depriving them of actual learning opportunities and instructional time. Dr. Sutherland and I have spent many hours discussing these tests. We have the luxury of being able to do this. My daughter does not have this luxury. Her third grade year is quickly moving by. The experiences she is missing out on due to these short cycle assessments are gone forever. She will not be able to reclaim them. That is why this nonsense must stop tonight at this meeting. Dr. Sutherland read my letter last month elaborating on my concerns with these tests. Tonight I would like to point out to you just how poorly these tests are written and prepared. As an assessment tool, they are absolutely worthless. To illustrate this point, I've compiled 10 examples, 7 of which I would like to share with you. Dr. Sutherland, do we have the slides?
Oh.
Okay, I wish y'all were able to see these. Okay, this is the first example, number 1. We have 30 items arranged in an array of 6 rows and 5 columns. What multiplication fact is modeled? 2 of them are 5 times 6 and 6 times 5. Our third graders know the commutative property of multiplication. Do the district test writers? Number 2. About how many miles did she run? The exact number is 373. But what answer is the test looking for? Without instructions as to what to round to, such as tens or hundreds, how is the student supposed to choose the right answer? Number 3. Are these objects separated by color, shape, size, or dimension? Both size and dimension would appear to be correct. After all, a dimension is a measurement of the size of an object. With 2 correct answers, what is the student to choose? Number 4. Surely we should expect the test on grammar to be free of grammatical errors. This is not the case. The first sentence has 2 independent clauses that should be separated by a comma, but there is no comma. The third sentence joins 2 independent clauses with a comma, but it leaves out the conjunction and. It appears the test writers need a short cycle assessment of their own. Skip to number 5, please. Number 6. Kent scored 882 points. 865 is the closest answer, whether you do the exact sum or round to tens first. Yet this answer is counted wrong. Number 7. The relentless schedule of these SCAs means that this test was administered before the information had been taught. How is that fair to a student, to test her and grade her on material she hasn't been taught yet? Number 9. Can I have 30 more seconds?
Yes.
Once again, a lazy grammatical error in a test prepared by professional administrators. The present tense verb less does not have an apostrophe, yet you see an apostrophe in all its misplaced glory. These examples are certainly not the only ones I've found. They paint a pretty bleak picture. With tests so poorly written, the question must be asked, what does the district expect to assess? Certainly not what the student's actual grasp of the subject. My family implores you, please vote to stop these tests tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have some discussion. Mrs. Moss?
Thank you, President Robbins. My concern is, and I know you are working for the teachers, and we all support the teachers, and you gave a very strong message directed to board members. But my concern is there are principals that want to keep the test. So why is it we do not allow the principals to decide if they want to keep the test for their school, or the principals that do not want it, like Bruce Shilke, why don't they be allowed to opt out? And no, I'm really directing to whoever, Dr. Sorum.
The first part of your question with respect to
principals having the choice, I concur fully with Mr. Poole that it's important that there be a spirit of collaboration on the campuses and teachers and principals working together.
Mhm.
Any situations where that's not the case, it's not going to be best for the students. In this situation, in terms of the chain of accountability, for those schools that were doing very well, it was our thinking that prerogative should be given to the principal about whether that's a tool that they wanted to continue to use or not. The second part, could you repeat your second question, please?
Well, it's kind of tied into what you said the first time. Principals would be given the opportunity to decide if their campus would use the test or if their campus would not.
That's what we proposed, or that's what we have made available to the principals, that if on their benchmark assessment, which we just had a reading one, and the kids did very well, frankly, at the fifth grade reading, we only had about 5 or 6 schools that were below the what would be the 60% passing rate at the state level. And so for those schools that are clearly in the green, we thought that would be a good option for them to decide how they want to proceed. For those schools that aren't in the green,
Right.
we would want to maintain a closer sense of involvement, because at the end of the day, I would need to assure you that we've done everything we can to support the school and to support the kids in their learning. So that's what we're proposing for that. But that's what we have made available to the schools, that option.
And just to go back to Mr. Poole, you talked about improving instruction, and this will not improve instruction. I'm not saying if you didn't say it exactly like that, but you know, for the last 6 or 7 years, we've been attempting to improve instruction in several schools, and we have not done that. So I have not heard the outcry to really help those schools. We always say what a good job we're doing in Fort Worth ISD. You know, and I don't say anything, but there are schools that we're not doing a good job in. So I think if principals would want to keep this, I think they should be allowed to. And the principals and teachers that want to opt out, I think they should be able to opt out, because they might not have a need for it. But where you have students that's not reading on grade level, or they're reading below grade level, I think the principal should have a choice, and the teachers. And, you know, and we have been working on this, so what else are we going to do? Because they're saying that they are benchmarking and they are working with the students. So, you know, Dr. Sorum, is it another something else you're working on? Or, you know, how are we going to improve instruction if they don't know where the children are?
Well, that's certainly one of the underlying goals of doing shorter assessments on a more frequent basis, as opposed to trying to have a big test that we might have gone too far down the trail to be able to go back and correct errors as we might find them. So that's the rationale.
I think Ms. Freed, were you wanting to say something?
I did want to share a little bit, because I thought a lot about our short cycle assessments, and I've listened to the principals speak about them, and I've listened to teachers' concerns, and some that are very favorable about the SCAs. But I wanted to share that when we visited several of our neighboring districts, and even when we went to Montgomery County, as a best practice, the SCAs was one way to measure students' achievement and performance, and they were very truly short cycle, very short in nature. Now, of course, there's always room for improvement, so we're going to take that into consideration. And also, you said something, Mrs. Moss, I wanted to go back to. You said, how do we know where our students are and how are they performing? I wanted to, it was a quote that really it resonated with me. And it said, we use data as a flashlight, and it's a flashlight to determine where our students are. And we turn it inward and we look at our practices, and all of us, no matter what titles are, we're teachers. So then we say, what are we doing well? What are we not doing so well? If it's professional development for our our teachers if they see that. And we do this in conjunction with teachers. It's not something that's done to them, we hope. It is something that we say, what do we need? And when we are meeting, when we're meeting with teachers or the directors or assistant superintendents, when we're there, we're saying, what do you need? It helps us also to determine where we send staff to support, because we're looking to say, we've got network specialists, and now we're going into the time that they've been coaching teachers and working with them. They'll do some direct teach pieces. So we're looking to see where are those campuses that need that additional support, other than just coaching. So, and please know to all of you that we look at all, that we do expect to have same high expectations we have for teachers. We have high expectations of principals, assistant principals, every staff member, and we have high expectations of ourselves and how we support them. So.
Okay. Dr. Avila.
Just a couple technical points first. One, when this item, proposed action item, came to us in the agenda packet, the action item, the proposed action item was to eliminate these SCAs. And Dr. Sutherland, that's what it says on the agenda here. Eliminate the SCAs. For some reason, you've made some different motion, okay? And that's fine. Make any motion you want to make. But, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but if there was hesitation to second a motion on this matter, I suspect it's because everyone thought it was a really bad idea for a blanket elimination of these SCAs, okay? But that's not the motion that's on the floor right now. But the motion you do have on the floor is staff, go look at the SCAs. I'm not sure that and you can reread it before we vote, because I think everyone needs to be clear on what this motion is. It sounded to me like it was very ambiguous and not an actionable motion, and so we may need some clarity on that. I know everyone wants to debate the policy issues and talk about all these things, but we're also up here to do some parliamentary work, and if we're going to vote on a motion, we need to have a motion that's actionable and one that's not off the cuff and totally different from what this group was prepared to debate and vote on.
Point of personal privilege then. The request I made was in writing. I'm going to quote it to you directly.
Okay.
It is the sense of the board that significant issues have accompanied the implementation of the short cycle assessments
I
this
would
year.
prefer that you don't speak for the board. That
This is the motion that the board would either accept or not accept, okay?
All right.
These issues include A, time requirements, B, effective presentation of questions, C, designation of correct answers, D, scoring and E, grammatical errors. This was not correctly transmitted to the agenda, and I didn't catch it when I went through the bar. I'm sorry, it's right here, Thursday, January 15th. It's written in writing, okay? And, I have enough trouble getting this item on the agenda, if you recall, in the first place. I figured it was probably not too smart to complain about the words I used when it finally got here. I'm fairly irritated about this. This is a perfectly respectable, I'm almost done, but not quite.
I am also, Dr. Sutherland.
I have the floor.
Well, and I haven't heard that motion made. What is
Of course
this?
not.
Well, we seconded a motion you made. And are you trying to substitute the motion with the one
I'm
you're
trying
reading?
to explain the reason.
What I recall the motion being made, Dr. Sutherland, I'm trying to recap
I'm sure the
what I heard.
secretary took it down. Let's have her read it.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
Did you?
It's on the tape.
We can replay the tape and take a break, but what I recall her stating was that it was management decision, so what she wanted to do was have it,
Reconsider.
the administration reevaluate the
That's right.
SCAs.
Yeah,
That's
and
what your motion was.
Okay. And what I'm
The
saying
thing is that we don't have the right to tell the administration what to do because this board gave it away.
No, it's
In
not.
November of 2013, we passed a motion that said we delegate the decisions for this to the staff.
I gave you a courtesy response. I have the floor. Okay. My point is, and we can correct this. The motion on the floor directing staff to reevaluate the SCAs is not an actionable motion. So if we want to direct staff to do something with the SCAs, we may want to entertain some other more precise motion on what we want done. So
Ms. Jackson is next. Ms.
Okay.
Jackson is gonna.
So anyway, there's some procedural issues for this group to consider in talking about these SCAs. I just wanted to make a point about why there was hesitancy on the second, and I'm voicing a parliamentary concern about the language of that motion you have on the floor. That's what this discussion is supposed to be about, the motion on the floor. Okay, a couple things about the SCAs themselves. You know, we've heard some feedback from Stephen, and we've seen some survey data, and we appreciate receiving that information. There appears to be, some feedback from teachers inconsistent with some of the survey data that we received from principals. We've heard from concerned parents. Just for the record, I, in the past, up here publicly, have shared some of those same concerns. I have a third grader who's taken the SCAs, and I've said some of the same things. I've corresponded with administrators and expressed some concerns about the test questions and some of the things that we're talking about. But what I hear is, don't get rid of short circle assessments. What I hear is we have some work to do to improve the assessments themselves, okay? And we have some work to do with respect to the manner in which they're administered, so that they can accomplish what everyone is out to accomplish. And what I hear administration saying is they're doing that. And we've given a report on the SCAs. If that previous report, wasn't satisfactory to answer our questions, do we need to bring back another report that says, okay, here are the problems we've identified. Here's what the feedback from principals and teachers.